For millennia, humanity had dominated the Earth until a meteorite arrived bringing disaster with it, as news reports revealed an alien seed impervious to our weapons, which released a pollen that caused regressive evolution, twisting this world into a primordial hellscape and resetting the food chain for all living things. Amidst the chaos, a lone person was fleeing in terror, hunted by a massive reptilian monster, their desperate cries for help echoing through the ruins, when in a flash a projectile streaked through the air. As soldiers unleashed a barrage of gunfire on the beast, their leader introduced himself as Captain Yue Li, leaping forward to shield the survivor, for in this new era, some humans awakened a sixth sense, allowing Yue Li to see the monster's vital core, and with a single devastating strike the fight was over. His squad praised his incredible skill, but the captain warned them not to relax, as their true target was a far deadlier creature, a cedar. A soldier then asked what to do with the survivor. Just as a dark infection was seen spreading on their shoulder, this person begged for their life, the corruption growing, but Yue Li coldly declared them infected, giving a final order. The soldier hesitated, aiming his weapon at the victim, who cried out, not wanting to die, before the survivor erupted into a monstrous form, unleashing a blast that sent the soldier flying. But the soldier thanked his captain for saving him, only to be struck down by Yue Li's fist. The captain condemned his subordinate's cowardice, stating his hesitation cost the victim a human death, and then ordered the squad to rest for 10 minutes. As they recovered, the punished soldier nursed his wound, wondering why the captain had been so angry, when a veteran explained Yue Li's tragic past with an infected loved one. Suddenly, a small creature in his pocket noticed the sky geo dark, and Yue Li screamed for everyone to take cover as a massive whip-like energy beam crashed down. Yue Li's inner thoughts revealed his deepest fear of failing again, and a strange sound echoed in the darkness. His vision blurred as he sensed a presence nearby, finding himself in a strange dimension with a glowing entity. His eyes widened in stunned recognition, then narrowed with grim determination as he found his target. He confronted the cedar, No 17, demanding to know its body count, but the creature's gaze remained cold and empty. Yue Li transformed into a giant beast and lunged forward to attack, yet the cedar calmly raised a hand, stopping him in his tracks. It summoned a horde of powerful monsters from the ground, and Yue Li steeled himself for an impossible fight. Yue Li unleashed his slaughter instinct, tearing through the horde with blinding speed, and launched himself directly at the cedar, but his sixth sense revealed a shocking truth: this creature had no vital core to attack. Suddenly, energy spikes erupted from the ground, sending him crashing into a strange field of flowers. The cedar revealed it could speak, holding his small companion, and Yue Li demanded to know why it had stayed silent. He collapsed, coughing, realizing he'd been infected. With a sad smile, he apologized to someone named Xiaobing. He refused to die a monster with so much left undone, a flood of regrets filling his mind as he faced his end, culminating in a desperate, silent scream to live. The cedar simply called him an idiot, explaining that this was only the beginning. Elsewhere, a shadowy group discussed Yue Li's death, wanting to obtain his powerful sixth sense. In a sterile lab, a doctor prepared for a dissection as Yue Li's body lay on the operating table. But as the doctor turned his back, something stirred, a monstrous red energy exploding from the body. Yue Li attacked the doctor in a feral rage, while a soldier reported to a hidden superior, who smirked, calling Yue Li full of surprises. This hidden superior ordered number 4 to capture Yue Li alive. While Yue Li sat in confusion, the strange energy now gone, trying to piece together what was happening to him. He recalled his own funeral, confirming his death was real, and that his body was stolen for his slaughter instinct. But there was a second, more pressing mystery: how did he come back to life without turning into a monster? Suspecting Xiaobing was somehow involved, hiding a secret. Just then he heard the sound of approaching footsteps, realizing the alarm must have been triggered earlier. He could tell from their movements they were highly trained soldiers, confirming this lab was a high-security facility. He counted down their approach, 3, 2, 1, and the ceiling erupted, sending them flying. Yue Li landed in the middle of the chaos, ready for a fight. With a flash of determination, he prepared to strike, his sixth sense revealing every soldier's vital core. He moved with precision, neutralizing them one by one, but knew these grunts wouldn't have any useful information. Suddenly, he was struck from behind as a strange, glitchy monster reported its success. It was number 4, standing over Yue Li's unconscious body. Back in the control room, the superior smirked, ordering it to stand by. The creature acknowledged the command, then raised a fist to finish the job. Yue Li faced the glitchy monster, noting his strange flame had returned, realizing this power only awakens when his life is in danger. He wanted to interrogate number 4, but his hatred for monsters took over, and back in the control room, the superior heard the commotion, confused. He wondered if Yue Li was causing trouble again, checking his monitor, and smirked, confident his own experiment was stronger. Number 4 taunted him, asking if he wasn't a monster too, which only brought a wicked grin to Yue Li's face. He embraced the darkness, declaring that he was indeed a monster, a power surge felt by a mysterious woman far away who whispered it was too soon. Yue Li's form shifted, his face cloaked in shadow with a single glowing eye, and number 4 was stunned by this sudden, terrifying transformation as Yue Li unleashed a cataclysmic blast of energy. The superior watched in a cold sweat, his entire plan now completely ruined. He fled, realizing the situation was far worse than he ever imagined. Ordering the lab's self-destruct sequence to be activated immediately. A demonic smile spread across Yue Li's face as the facility stood silent for a final moment before erupting in a massive explosion. The superior reported that the lab was destroyed, leaving no evidence behind, but he was still troubled by what happened to Yue Li, describing his new form as something unprecedented, a transformation that looked just like a cedar. He boarded a helicopter, giving his assurances to his own superior, who revealed he had the crucial blood samples, and told his commander he was heading to Lab Zero, sighing in relief that his failure was overlooked. But a demonic glitching face appeared at his window, and his helicopter was instantly annihilated by a dark tendril. Elsewhere, a pink phone began to ring, and a young woman answered, questioned about missing a funeral, but she refused to believe what she was being told. The caller insisted he saw Yue Li's body with his own eyes, and she exploded in rage, screaming that he's not dead. She hung up, heartbroken over his broken promise to return. When a sudden crash from downstairs startled her. Panicked, she realized help was 20 minutes away and grabbed a small chainsaw to defend herself. She cautiously made her way down the stairs, peering around a corner to find the intruder, her eyes widening in absolute shock at the sight of Yue Li lying unconscious in her yard. A flashback began with a friend calling Yue Li crazy as Yue Li revealed his plan to propose the next day. His friend reminded him of the world's grim reality, but Yue Li said she was his only source of happiness. He wanted to commit to her in these final days, even planning to hide the ring inside his small companion, an idea his friend found utterly ridiculous. He cleared his throat, preparing for the big moment, telling Xiaobing he wanted to spend every last day with her, and finally asked her to marry him. She stood in silence, her back turned to him, whispering his name with a heavy heart. But the memory twisted into a nightmare as a monstrous version of her asked if he could still love her like this. Yue Li screamed her name, jolting awake from the vision. Finding himself bound tightly in chains, the woman with the chainsaw demanded he answer her questions, starting with a test. How did they first meet? And he recounted a specific childhood memory, proving it was him, so she continued the interrogation with rapid-fire questions. A nearby machine beeped, a DNA test now complete, confirming a 99.8% genetic match. She dropped the act and embraced him, crying with relief, and Yue Li softly told her that he was back. She complained about his smell and told him to get untied, offering her bathroom once her roommate was done. She explained that since he was gone for so long, she had to get one, and he quickly apologized, promising to make it up to her. Just then, she announced her roommate was here, but the newcomer's identity was a complete shock as Yue Li grabbed her, demanding to know what she was doing here. He asked why she left after he helped her recover, demanding to know why she had left him. But the roommate pinned him down, calling him a pervert, as the woman with the chainsaw yelled at them to stop fighting. The misunderstanding was cleared up, leaving Yue Li confused, as the roommate Mo Ling assumed he faked his death for a mission. Yue Li noted her personality was nothing like Xiaobing's, though he desperately wished she was his lost love returned. He knew rationally that an infection couldn't be reversed, wondering if this was a coincidence or a plot by the Dragon Group. Just as they stood in the quiet yard, a new problem arose when a monstrous centipede erupted from the ground, a mother creature seeking revenge for its slain larvae. It was at its most dangerous, having just given birth, but Yue Li immediately took command of the situation. He ordered the doctor to prepare antidotes and Mo Ling to provide support, confident he could handle this monster on his own. The doctor handed him her special chainsaw for the fight, and Yue Li charged forward to meet the beast head-on. His instinct for slaughter awakened, his eyes glowing with power, revealing the monster's core hidden on its back. He brought the chainsaw down with a devastating strike. But the impact felt wrong, not a clean hit, as the carapace cracked, but the creature didn't fall, sending Yue Li flying back in total shock. He realized his attack was blocked by a layer of undeveloped larvae. The mother centipede loomed over Yue Li, its gaping maw ready to strike, and he was slammed backward by the force. His arm was badly wounded, but that strange flame reappeared, healing him instantly. He heard his allies calling out to him, deciding to keep this mutation a secret for now. Meanwhile, the doctor was disgusted by the swarming larvae. Pulling out a sprayer to deal with the filth, she unleashed a cleansing blast, asking Yue Li for an update. He yelled back that he was completely surrounded, but he had located the monster's core on its back. He told her to destroy it, but she was too far away, panicking, wishing she had a long-range weapon. Suddenly, the mother bug began to move, and Yue Li realized its new target, screaming for the doctor to run for her life. She was frozen in terror as the beast closed in when a new fighter appeared, calculating the shot. She took aim with a high-tech rifle, targeting the core, but the shot flew wide, and Yue Li screamed that she missed as her eye glowed with a strange power. She declared that she never misses, and the energy beam curved and struck true, creating a massive blast. Yue Li stood over the wreckage, checking on his two companions. The doctor looked at Yue Li, completely puzzled, explaining that this monster shouldn't be here at all. And then a horrifying thought struck Yue Li, demanding that the doctor show him the map. It revealed they were in the second line of defense, which meant the first line had already fallen. He asked if she had any combat equipment available, and she just stared back at him in silence before teasing him for trying to be a lone hero again. She joked that if he wanted to go alone, he could go naked. Yue Li just laughed at her comment, deciding they would face this threat as a team. He never thought he'd be on a mission like this again, hoping this time he could protect the people he cares about. They moved through the desolate, corrupted city while elsewhere search teams reported in from the crash site. Finally, a team confirmed the blood sample was intact. A red-haired man screamed into his comms, refusing to believe Yue Li was dead. He stood before a massive glitching beast, roaring that he refused to accept his friend's fate. A memory surfaced of his childhood rivalry with Yue Li, remembering when Yue Li asked him to be his comrade. He realized that over time Yue Li's dream became his own, their paths intertwined from the very beginning, culminating in them leading the Phoenix Squad together. He only became commander because of Yue Li's fall, a victory he never wanted. He was told to mourn his rival properly, but he never accepted his death. Now in the present, he unleashed his fury as two soldiers watched from the wall above. They noted the commander had been on edge lately, blaming it on the pressure of the coming beast tide. 3 days later, the situation was dire, his forces breaking with no backup in sight, so he ordered a retreat for the wounded. Ignoring pleas that he was pushing himself too far, he prepared to face the monster horde alone, unleashing his own power, extreme slaughter. A red aura ignited around him as he charged, slicing through the swarm with his blade, carving a path of destruction through their ranks, but the power faded after only 30 seconds, leaving his body completely drained. He looked up at the endless tide of monsters, and a grim smile crossed his face, for this was the warrior's death he always wanted. His body was pierced by a devastating blow. Struck down by a massive beast with 95% body damage, he was on the verge of death. He wondered if dying was always this painful when a voice called out his name, Jinren. Just in time, his backup had finally arrived, but he was barely conscious, his vision fading as a voice urged him to wake up. He awakened in a med bay to his cheering squad, his first thought being for his team's safety. They immediately started teasing him about Dr. Xiaoxu, and he got flustered, completely denying it, but they revealed she had been by his side for days. As he insisted their bond was beyond their understanding, the conversation then shifted to how they were rescued, praising a new captain and a sniper who saved them, and Jinren suddenly sat up, ignoring his wounds. He demanded his gear for a high-level alert, his target, Yue Li. Elsewhere, a monster complained that human reinforcements had arrived as Cedar number 13 cursed the man with the big sword. He thought this checkpoint had been abandoned when a new presence made itself known, a woman descending a wall of skulls, chiding him for fleeing. She cryptically asked if his flower had bloomed, but he snapped back, demanding she call him Big Brother. She ignored his outburst, repeating the question before giving up, and as she turned to leave, he called out to her, grinning menacingly, inviting her to stay for the show. A flashback revealed the trios shared past, a younger, determined Yue Li and his rival Jinren by his side. Their history was stained by a painful memory, as Jinren argued against a harsh sentence, insisting a young infected girl could be saved. But Yue Li was firm, the infection was absolute and a quick death was mercy. His decision led to disaster, reinforcing the squad's brutal rule: no exceptions for the infected. Back in the present, Dr. Xiaoxu tried to reason with Jinren, admitting she was also in disbelief at first, but the DNA test proved Yue Li was still human. Jinren refused to accept it. He saw Yue Li's lifeless body, declaring the only way he could be alive is if he was one of the infected. Yue Li listened to the accusation in silence. As Jinren told Xiaoxu her grief was clouding her judgment, she struggled to find the words to respond until Yue Li spoke, swearing he was on the side of humanity. Jinren scoffed at the claim, his mind made up, unleashing his extreme slaughter to end his friend's suffering. But Yue Li's own killer instinct awakened, and he met the attack head-on, their blades clashing. He screamed, asking why his best friend wouldn't believe him, and Jinren replied that this was asterisk, because they were friends, as Yue Li roared back, refusing to be put down. But Xiaoxu threw herself between them, horrified by a dark energy spreading through the room as soldiers collapsed, their bodies consumed by the infection. Yue Li looked on in shock, asking what was happening, and saw the same corruption spreading across Jinren. He grabbed his friend, demanding to know what he did, but Xiaoxu reminded him Yue Li just saved his life. Yue Li was stunned as the infection touched his own skin, while Jinren's eyes glowed with a terrifying intensity. He realized this was the work of the Cedar, whose plan was always to infect the Suzaku army. A female captain appeared, demanding to know where her troops were just as her infected soldiers emerged from the shadows. She refused to let them lose their humanity, ordering them all to activate their self-incineration devices. Yue Li's eyes widened in disbelief, screaming as the entire building was engulfed in purple light. He immediately grabbed a fire extinguisher, rushing into the blaze and yelling for Xiaoxu's help. The fire suppression system was down, until Jinren's voice cut through the flames, telling him to stop. He reminded Yue Li of his vow to protect humanity, asking him to promise he would fight to protect Xiaoxu. With grim determination, Yue Li accepted the promise. Jinren stood alone in the fire, a final silent farewell. Jinren's voice told a tearful Xiaoxu not to be sad, reminding her this was a fate they accepted long ago, and he considered it an honor to go out on his own terms. Yue Li could only watch, completely powerless once again, until he found himself in a strange ethereal space. He looked around completely disoriented when something in the sky caught his eye, a dark burning orb hanging above him. He wondered if it was some kind of sun, but a voice beside him called it a black hole. Yue Li jumped back from the strange featureless being who introduced itself as the little white man, a guide for his thoughts. Our boy was less than impressed with the eyeless guide. This being asked why Yue Li wouldn't use his power to save everyone, and Yue Li fell silent, unable to answer. The creature pressed him, sensing his hesitation, asking if he was afraid of losing control and becoming a monster again. The question hung in the air: are those who have power but refuse to act the true monsters back in reality? The infection on Yue Li's body vanished as a blonde-haired man appeared, absorbing the very flames around him. Meanwhile, a blue-haired girl on a rooftop wondered about the commotion, and this chapter came to a close. Elsewhere, a scientist began a blood sample test for Yue Li, starting with its resistance to high temperatures. The scientist announced the experiment was beginning as Yue Li's blood sample was blasted with intense flames which it seemed to absorb completely. The temperature soared past 1,000 degrees and the first test was concluded. This sample could absorb a massive amount of thermal energy and ability far beyond their current technology. A superior watching from a control room warned this power could be a threat, and they considered their next move in silence. They asked for Yue Li's current location, the Phoenix Regiment, then inquired about the situation on the ground. An underling confirmed the regiment's calls for aid had been intercepted as the superior crushed a lollipop, saying it was almost time, deciding to eliminate them all as a warning to both sides. Back in the burning building, Yue Li recognized this strange flame, but this time he felt in control of his transformed body. A terrified Xiaoxu asked if he was still himself, and he calmly reassured her that he was. But a red-haired soldier stepped forward, demanding to know why he should be trusted. Yue Li smirked, saying he couldn't be killed right now anyway, and the soldier glared back, challenging his confidence. Yue Li simply said, yes. As they clashed in a blur of motion, his corrupted arm glowing with immense power, this strange energy crackling around him as the soldier was already on the ground defeated, and Yue Li told him to stay down. Yue Li turned to Xiaoxu, telling her to study him now as he clenched his corrupted fist, focusing all his power, and instantly appeared before a soldier, accusing him of bringing the pollen. Though this terrified man denied everything, Yue Li had no time for his excuses and struck him down without any hesitation. The soldier's face then shattered, revealing a corrupted being beneath who revealed the flower had already bloomed. Suddenly, Yue Li was blasted backward by a surprise attack, but he vowed to settle the score with this so-called beast child. Meanwhile, the blue-haired girl tried her comms once more, desperately asking if anyone could hear her voice, as she looked out over a city consumed by a monstrous growth. A creepy nursery rhyme began to echo through the air, and a single corrupted seed fell from the sky, sprouting into a strange insectoid creature. It quickly grew into a massive, terrifying flower as two horned beings appeared, one criticizing the other, singing. The blue-haired one seemed unimpressed by the flower's immense size, but his companion just laughed, calling it a mere display. He explained how countless fallen soldiers had nourished the land, their bodies becoming fuel for the true flower's ultimate bloom. Back on the rooftop, massive corrupted petals rained down, and the girl wondered if humanity was truly doomed. Just then, a hand landed firmly on her shoulder, and a voice told the blue-haired girl not to give up so easily because humanity still had a chance to survive, as Yue Li stood with new allies, declaring they hadn't fallen yet. This scene then flashed back to not so long ago, where a scientist revealed Yue Li's test results were astonishing, explaining his cells could store and control thermal energy. He had absorbed the incineration flames, saving everyone's lives, a fact that she found absolutely fascinating. He also possessed mutant traits and could regenerate with heat, a power that now surged through his transformed body, making him for all intents and purposes immortal. Back in the present, the red-haired soldier called out to Yue Li, admitting he still couldn't fully trust this new form. But as long as Yue Li remained human, he would fight by his side, placing a hand on his shoulder in a show of faith. Yue Li looked on with a grim resolve, realizing that if heat could destroy the pollen, then with his new power he might just have a solution. He launched himself into the sky like a living fireball and crashed down upon the monstrous growth below, determined to burn the corruption out completely. His powerful flames engulfed the massive corrupted plant, incinerating it from the inside out, leaving his allies completely stunned by the display. But from the shadows, a villain let out a sinister laugh, scoffing that mere fire couldn't burn his creation, and demanding they obediently become part of his flower as he clenched a corrupted, glitching fist. He offered the Phoenix Regiment a chance to surrender, promising he would show mercy if they joined his ranks, saying it was their last chance to become one of his beast lords, but his offer was cut short by a sudden powerful strike, and Yue Li realized his absorbed thermal energy was all used up. His allies joked that the villain was too far away to hear him anyway. This blatant disrespect enraged the horned being, who called them lowly creatures for ignoring him, furious that they had dared to interrupt his grand speech. But the red-haired soldier stepped forward to correct him, introducing the true leader of the regiment, Commander Yue Li. Yue Li told the villain known as No 13 to stop talking, declaring that human soldiers are never afraid of battle. This villain just smirked at their supposed bravery, boasting of the countless soldiers he had already killed and cruelly recounting their final agonizing moments. In the end, he said they all became nothing but nourishment for his flower, and he claimed they would never understand why those soldiers died. But Yue Li knew their deaths weren't in vain, for they died to protect humanity. He gripped his sword, saying humans fight on despite their fear because they have thousands of families to protect behind them. He declared every fallen soldier was greater than this monster, their sacrifice never to be forgotten. Yue Li stared down the villain, saying that in his heart he was just a monster, and had no right to speak of human sacrifice. The horned being stammered in absolute fury, his composure completely shattered by the words, and with a twisted grin he vowed to kill them all. But a new threat appeared, a massive beast horde, though Yue Li remained unfazed by the fight ahead. He revealed the villain was just stalling for time, a fact that made him question the monster's true goal. This flower's purpose was to bear fruit and spread its seeds, and Yue Li admitted he was stalling too for Xiaoxu's analysis. She reported they had 10 hours to cut the flower down, explaining they must first sever its 3 main roots and then destroy the central stem completely. Yue Li accepted the plan, confident they would find a way. He gathered his soldiers to give the orders, splitting the main team into 3 groups for the roots. He then considered the approaching monster horde, but his soldiers volunteered to hold them off. They even returned his old battle suit, and Yue Li looked on with renewed resolve. He rallied his troops, promising they would all go home, vowing to avenge their fallen brothers if they should fail, as he drew his blade ready for the final battle. Yue Li gave the order to move out and cut down the monsters as the team charged toward the incoming beast horde, with our boy leading the way through the ruined city. He was determined to thin their numbers to prevent more sacrifices, but the sheer scale of the swarm was absolutely terrifying. This was why he insisted on taking the middle path, though his red-haired ally complained that he wouldn't listen. Xiaoxu cut in, telling the soldier to save his energy for the flower, while the blue-haired girl just laughed at their bickering. She admitted she found it interesting to fight alongside them, and Yue Li checked in on her progress, asking about obstacles. Her path was strangely clear, raising suspicions of an ambush. Xiaoxu warned her to be careful and call for help if needed, but also reassured Yue Li that her abilities were reliable. He seemed distracted, unconsciously thinking of her as Xiaobing. Her voice over the comms making him question if they were the same person. His team's banter broke his focus, joking about his silence, but the red-haired soldier suddenly reported his target was inside a massive corrupted beast he faced with a confident smirk. The blue-haired girl found her own grotesque monster, and Yue Li was impressed by their perfect coordination. He faced his own 2-headed beast, proposing a little competition. The battle began, a clash of 6 sense users, each one unleashing their unique and deadly talents. But Xiaoxu warned them not to get cocky, as even they weren't fully immune to the pollen. Xiaoxu warned that if the pollen entered a wound, there was still a risk of infection, and she gave the red-haired soldier Jinren a tactical update. His target was an evolved, highly venomous ancestral spider. But Jinren just smirked, saying all that talk came down to a single slash, and as he finished, Yue Li reported that he was also done. They tried to contact the blue-haired girl Mo Ling but got no response. And Xiaoxu reported her signal had suddenly cut out. Yue Li demanded her last location, heading over immediately, as Xiaoxu warned a new life form had appeared on satellite. He wondered if it could possibly be her. Arriving at the coordinates, he found the path suspiciously clear of monsters, questioning why the enemy would leave the way completely open. He realized there must be a far more powerful guardian waiting here, and a sudden jolt told him he was no longer alone. A familiar voice asked if he had already found a replacement, revealing a powerful horned being with piercing yellow eyes. Yue Li explained that she was a newcomer to the dragon group and also his comrade. The blue-haired girl Mo Ling looked down with a conflicted expression as the horned being commented on the dragon group's cloning abilities. But Yue Li looked at them both, saying he now knew they were all unique. He called her by a new name, Xiaobing, insisting they needed to talk, and she quietly began to speak, asking why he wasn't yelling "monster" and charging at her. Yue Li met her gaze, declaring that this time was different. His mind flashed back to a fiery explosion, remembering he too became a monster but kept his sense of self. He wondered if she could do the same, demanding to know what she had become. A voice warned that this couldn't continue Yue Li. A corrupted hand reached out from the vision, and in the present, the horned being attacked, unleashing a powerful wave of energy. Yue Li caught Mo Ling demanding to know what this meant, but the horned being just called him too weak. She declared he was not qualified to ask her why. A brief strange memory showed Mo Ling's carefree nature, but Yue Li pushed the thought aside, asking one more thing, questioning if she was Li Xiaobing or the cedar Lingzhu. She paused for a moment, her expression unreadable, and declared that right now she was Lingzhu. Yue Li gripped his sword, saying he understood. He vowed to treat her exactly as he would treat Lingzhu, and with a roar he charged, yelling, "Die, you monster!" Lingzhu calmly prepared to counter his attack, unleashing a storm of blue energy shards which clashed against his flaming blade. Yue Li brought his sword down with all his might, the impact shattering the ground around them. But she stopped the massive blade with a single hand, remarking they had never had a serious fight until now. Yue Li asked if she remembered their first meeting, and Lingzhu coldly confirmed that she did. He said this situation felt very similar, but she blasted him away with a wave of energy. She told him it was not the same at all, declaring he was no match for her now. Yue Li looked up, admitting she was right. He recalled Zioxu giving him incendiary grenades and said his sixth sense was useless here, so he had no choice but to try something else to push his heat energy to its absolute limit. Ling Zhu watched with a faint, curious smile as Yue Li was consumed by his own flames. He emerged in a new fiery form ready for round 2. This chapter ended on their impending clash. The story then flashed back to a calmer time, as a soldier handed Yue Li a phone teasing him about his girlfriend. His men bickered about the premature title earning them extra laps. On the phone, Xiaobing said she was leaving for a mission but assured him it was nothing dangerous. We see her on that mission watching a suspicious truck reporting a strange energy source the higher-ups should know about. She called out to Yue Li over the comms, promising to give him an answer when she returned. But a week later his calls went unanswered, just as an alert reported a cedar attack. Yue Li was called to action by his subordinate. Briefed on a new level 8 disaster, a cedar with suspected temperature control abilities, and his team was cleared to use lethal force with orders to eliminate the target at all costs. He questioned how a cedar appeared inside a research institute when a horrifying realization dawned on him. This was the same location Xiaobing went to, and he saw that the cedar was her. Back in the present, Yue Li finally understood her last call, demanding to know why she didn't tell him the truth, why she faced such a terrible danger all alone. Ling Zhu unleashed a powerful ice ability, her gaze remaining cold and distant. He charged forward screaming for an answer, but she met his fire with an overwhelming frost. She looked at him with a hint of sorrow as a colossal ice beast formed to defend her. He roared that they promised to share everything together, but she responded with another devastating attack. A red crystal glowed between her hands, unleashing a torrent of absolute zero energy. Tears of ice streamed down her face as she prepared a final massive blast. A silent, sorrowful farewell. Ling Zhu closed her eyes in silent resolve, thinking of all the simple joys they had lost in this world, and their powers collided in a cataclysmic explosion. But through the chaos, Yue Li just smiled, vowing that this time he would not ever let her go. The raging battle suddenly ceased, replaced by a quiet rain, and Ling Zhu asked why he had stopped fighting. Yue Li stared back, his fiery aura now extinguished. She asked him a desperate question: could they go back? Elsewhere, Mo Ling woke up annoyed about falling asleep in the rain, but seeing the tense standoff, she decided to just go back to sleep. From a distance, an observer reported the two had stopped their fight, and a man with a lollipop gave an order to approach them as he wanted to know exactly what she was saying. Back in the rain, the two former lovers faced each other in silence. Yue Li called out to her, still seeing the Xiaobing he knew, but she declared that person was gone, replaced by a cedar. She told him he was a hero who shouldn't be tied to her fate, urging him to consider her dead and uphold his own justice. But he took a deliberate step forward, crossing her line, and questioned what she thought his justice even was. He declared his only justice had always been protecting a world with her in it, insisting they don't have to go back, they just have to move forward. Her cold facade seemed to crack for just a moment as she asked him one final thing: did he trust her? He demanded to know what happened in that labs. And she began to tell him her story, how she infiltrated the research institute alone, discovering a hidden level where monster bodies were being held. But these weren't just any monsters she found, as some of them had disturbingly human shapes. Yue Li listened in disbelief, processing the horror. She confirmed the experimental data showed they had consciousness, and even more chilling, she found several empty containers. He naively asked what was so scary about that, until she revealed one of the empty pods had his name on it. This realization hit him like a physical blow, flashing back to his own monstrous transformation in a lab. But her story wasn't over. There was something even worse, as a strange light emanated from deeper within, and she pushed forward to investigate the source. Her eyes widened at what she found: a lone person standing before a massive energy core, where swirling energy revealed a familiar form, the preserved corpse of the second cedar ghost Banyan. This was where everything went wrong for her. Yue Li shouted that the cedar was supposed to be destroyed, but she explained that when she accessed the data, she triggered a hidden trap, the slaughter talent. Suddenly, a corrupted attack lunged from her memory, and she shoved him aside. Yue Li hit the ground, asking if she was okay, but she collapsed on top of him, unresponsive. A slow clap echoed through the ruins as a scarred man complimented Yue Li's reflexes even after coming back from the dead. He greeted the commander with a chilling smile, questioning why a hero would stand with a cedar. He taunted him, wondering if this was a betrayal of humanity, but then said it didn't really matter before screaming in agony from a psychic assault. Yue Li stood ready, his fiery blade drawn, declaring his choices were not for others to judge. Elsewhere, a report came in about Yue Li's missing corpse. A subordinate confessed they had dug up his grave, earning a furious slam on the desk from Du Hengxiao, commander-in-chief of the Dragon Corps. This subordinate explained they heard he'd mutated and resurrected. But Du Hengxiao roared that they were slandering a hero. Their argument was cut short by a ringing phone, and the commander was called to an emergency meeting. As the subordinate left, Du Hengxiao sighed, wondering if the rumors about Yue Li could be true. He remembered the day the young recruit first joined his ranks and the fierce battles they had fought side by side. He recalled promoting Yue Li, knowing this situation was now serious trouble. Du Hengxiao arrived at a Supreme Council meeting, greeting the other high-ranking officials. Secretary General Tao Kishin prepared to start, but another member cut him off: Mu Zissou, chief of the Abyss, who brought up Yue Li. Du Hangxiao said the kid died a hero's death, but Mu Zissou claimed to have different intel revealing Yue Li now had cedar powers and was a traitor. The entire council was stunned by the news. Director Tang Shen found this hard to believe, showing footage of Yue Li destroying a research facility. But director Tang denied any knowledge of the base, which earned a smug look from another member. As President Yu Fenghuang found his ignorance suspicious, Director Tang seemed annoyed by her implication, asking if she thought he was hiding things from himself, but she clarified she suspected he was hiding things from them. The Secretary General cut in, refocusing on the threat Yue Li posed. Du Hangxiao asked for the Secretary's official opinion, and he proposed designating Yue Li a human enemy to be killed on sight. Du Hangxiao furiously objected, citing a lack of evidence. But Mu Zissou scoffed at his naivety, reminding everyone of Yue Li's connection to the Cedar Xiaobing. Another official turned the tables on Mu Zissou, questioning his department's failure to help in the first place. Du Hangxiao slammed his fist down, roaring that Yue Li is a hero, listing all of his past deeds for humanity, but another official tried to calm him down, stating the human enemy title required proof of betrayal. Their debate was cut short by an urgent alert, as the official revealed the first human enemy had resurfaced, a man named Bai Yijin, now in the same region as Yue Li. Elsewhere, a mysterious man grabbed a young woman, silencing her, and with a chilling gesture he demanded her silence.